Can I share that?
Welcome into the Birds Take Brazil live Q&A presented by Toyota, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official automotive partner of the NFL. We are here at our brand new NBC Sports Bar at Xfinity Live, and it is game day. Finally, Birds taking on the Green Bay Packers in Brazil, and we're holding it down here in Philadelphia with all of these Eagles fans. Ashlyn Sullivan, Ruben Frank, Michael Barkan, and Barrett Brooks here with you, getting excited for game day kickoff just a couple hours away. It feels like it has been forever since we have said that, and it really has, because this team, Rube, is so different than last season. We've been at training camp, preseason. It's been a long time coming till this day.
Yeah, you think about the changes that this franchise has made since last year ended in disaster down in Tampa. New coaching staff, so many new players, 8 new defensive starters, including the slot. They've really kind of gone in and changed the whole culture of this franchise. And
Michael, turn off the broadcast.
No, I can't. Look at this star right here.
And they had to. I mean, the way last year ended, they had to make substantial changes. And will it pay off? We'll see in a few months, but it's something they had to do.
Changes, but at the same time, continuity. Do you mind if I do this to you?
No, I do. Very much.
I'm sorry. He likes it. So they made changes, yes, but there's also continuity in particular along the offensive line. They've got 4 of the same guys back. Cam Jurgens slides over to center, which might be 3 guys. Well, they have Landon Dickerson. They've got Jordan Mailata. They've got Lane Johnson. And they got Cam Jurgens.
Well, Cam in a new position.
But he was on the line last year.
He's in a new position. He's never played center.
Well,
never started a game at center.
Stop him.
So you have 2 guys who've never played the position that they're going to be starting at. So, and they're next to each other, and that's a concern.
In the NFL, you say in the NFL, never played the position in the NFL. Cam has played his entire career in college as a center. So
you know as well as anyone, it's a different animal.
Right.
Yeah.
But as I said, 4 out of 5 on the line from last year. Anyway,
there you go. You were correct.
Here's my other question. I'll go back to. Never mind. You're the host. Go ahead.
Michael, I could tell you're so excited that football is here.
I am.
You're so excited for Eagles pregame live, which is coming up so soon, and Michael and the crew are going to hold it down in studio. But Michael, you can feel, I don't know, it's pressure, it's excitement. We just don't know what to expect, and we've been waiting so long for week 1. We're at the point where we kind of just need answers of what this is going to look like.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. We do need answers. And while we won't have the final answer until January and hopefully not until February, this kind of gives us a general, there's a kind of a fog of gases that's congealing into a football team. Okay.
A fog of gases?
Yes, a fog. Much like
gases.
Much like the universe formed, and finally we got
Tums.
the Earth.
We need Tums,
I think we just don't know yet what the team's going to be, and this is the first step toward seeing what that'll be. And I know there's question about the defense, there's question about the offense, as much strength as it would seem to have, the question about the coordinators and the head coach. There are a lot of questions about this team, but at the same time, they've done it before with a lot of the same personnel and the same head coach.
Right, Barron. We're at the point where we just need answers. You've been talking about it every single day on Birds Huddle. I know you're ready for week 1, so we can finally move on to actual game. No more preseason.
Right.
No more backup quarterback talk. We've had enough of that.
I mean, just being realistic. I mean, for the last 5 days a week since February, that's all we've been talking about. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, and if they're going to do it. At this point, I'm looking forward to just seeing even little things like what the offense is going to look like, and Coach Moore's offense is going to look like. Is Jalen healthier than he was last year?
Yeah.
The defensively, what type of defensive scheme are they going to have? Attacking scheme? Is it going to be a read and adjust to what they're doing type of scheme? We didn't have any of that last year. And one thing I know about, the defense we had last year, nobody knew what to do. So when you're at the line and the ball is snapped and you don't know what to do, you're 3 steps behind to start off with. Now I think Vic has put them in a position where, all right, they've learned what to do. I just want to see these players go out there and do it now.
Yeah, it's at the point where it's week 1 and it is time to do it, as we now check in with Ashley Hall, who is reporting here from our new NBC Sports Bar, and she, I believe, has an Eagles fan with her.
Ashley.
All right, guys, our first question of the day, super fired up. We have Aiden from Northampton with a little bit of a prediction question here for all of you. So he wants to hear all your answers. Go ahead, Aiden.
So statistically, this is the best team on paper. What are we thinking are the chances of a Super Bowl, and what team do we think is going to be our hardest challenge to this?
Barrett, you first.
I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, so in me being an Eagles fan, of course I'm saying they're going to win the Super Bowl. You know, I've always had green glasses on. You know, my glasses always half full. That's just the way I go about things. You know, far greater difference than me and Rube. You know, we're like total opposites. But I'll say this: with the talent that they have,
here.
Say my glass is always half empty.
there you go.
Just go ahead and say it.
I just really think, I think they're going to run 12 games. Do they have a realistic chance of going to the Super Bowl? I really think that they do. The biggest thing with me is I just need them to go out there. One thing, if we can lead the NFL in rushing, we'll win the Super Bowl. Just that little thing right there, leading the NFL in rushing. Saquon Barkley leads the NFL in rushing, we will win the Super Bowl. It's just about them establishing the run and opening up everything else.
Yep. You doubled down on that. A couple months ago, he said that, and it made headlines, and he's doubled down. Michael, what do you think?
I think I'm going on the high side, I think, because that's what I do. They're 12-5. I think 12-5 record. I think you have one win less than that. And I think they can be a Super Bowl team, but there's so many question marks as you go through an NFL season. I think Aiden had asked what's their toughest opponent. I always think it's in division. You think, oh, the Giants stink, they'll sweep them. The Washington stinks, they'll sweep them. And the Cowboys, we're just going to kill them for good measure. And the fact is, it doesn't usually happen like that in the NFC East. So I would say the Cowboys are going to be our toughest opponent. I mean, their toughest opponent.
There you go.
I got lost in it for a second.
You know, the Eagles haven't swept the Cowboys since 2011. Haven't swept the Cowboys since 2011. It's now 2024.
Yes.
And I totally agree. I mean, they've been a roadblock. The Eagles have lost their last 5 in Dallas. So they've got to win in North Texas. And if they do that, I really like their chances. I went with 11 wins. I think the first few weeks are going to be tough. They got a lot of road games, 3 of the first 4. I don't know what effect this trip to Brazil is going to have, not just tonight, but Monday night and moving forward up until the bye week. I think they have a chance to be really good. I think it might just be a slow start.
Yeah.
Not only that, though. Here's the other thing. It's the whole, I would call it the boy who cried wolf syndrome. If they get to 10-1, are we going to be saying, as we did last year, they're 10-1, here they come, they're going for it. I mean, they were 10-1 last year.
If they signed Zach Cunningham, Bradley Roby,
yeah, then you got it. Right.
You know,
yeah.
Then that was the problem. They just had bad players at the end of last year, and the whole team lost confidence. It was a disaster.
It was.
I think they got that out of their system. I don't think that's going to happen again.
All right. Well, expect that question at 7 o'clock.
If they do get to 10-1, then we'll be talking about it.
That's what we like to call a tease in the teasing
Yes,
business.
indeed. Pregame live.
Yes,
Ruben
gotta watch
Barrett,
it.
and also Ashlyn Sullivan joining us this year, if I might say.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, we're excited about it.
Yes, we are. We're very excited. But I think, guys, you shouldn't have. Please.
Well, we paid these people. We paid them.
I knew it. I knew that's why they were nice to me. When we talk about the toughest, and this is where I try to shift towards optimism, but I think the Eagles' toughest challenge of this season is this game. Week 1, I think this is a really tough draw. Won the Green Bay Packers, ended the season on such a high note. Jordan Love is very talented. To go to Brazil and face this team Week 1, I don't have a lot of optimism towards it. And I hate that for me. But I think this is one of their toughest challenges, not their toughest of the season.
It's a litmus test. This is where they're going to find out how they're built, how the defense is going to be, how we're going to generate pressure. I mean, do we send blitzes to bring pressure, or do we let the front 4, front 3 generate pressure? I'm anxious to see how these guys like Huff and Sweat are going to rush the passer. If they can go out there and win their one-on-one battles, then I think it'll be all good from a defensive standpoint. But if we have to send blitzers, that's just one less person that's not going to be in coverage. So, it's so many variations of how you can do that. I want to see how this Eagles team is going to react to that. I mean, are they going to be able to cover 3 really good young wide receivers?
Yeah.
Can they stop a running game at Josh Jacobs with the guys they have up front? Do we have to do run blitzes? All of these things are what Vic Fangio likes to say they look good doing, but he's not confident himself that they can do it. So I want to see it.
Yeah, and especially Michael on defense. We have a lot of questions right now. 2 key injuries as well this week with Devin White and Isaiah Rodgers not playing, so you're already a little short there. But I think we're going to see Quinyon Mitchell. You think on the outside starting tonight?
Yeah, I think he stays outside. You get Avonte Maddox in the slot when they go 3 wides.
Yep.
I just don't think Keely Ringo's really ready. I think you want the veteran presence out there.
Yeah.
I think in a month, Cooper DeJean might be ready for that, but he missed most of camp, so I don't think he's the answer. So Avonte Maddox is healthy. He's had a good camp. They cut him halfway through the offseason, but they brought him back, and it's a good thing because they need him tonight.
Yeah. And
I think the other question is the up front, the
Yeah.
defensive line, the linebackers, the rotation of the linemen, whether or not they have what it takes. The down three in Williams and Davis and Carter.
Yeah.
Are who's coming in after that? So I really think they're going to be hard pressed to get push at least tonight on Jordan Love. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, big expectations for all of those guys to make a step in the right direction this year. And now we go back out to Ashley, who has another fan question.
Yep, guys, it's all eyes on Jalen Hurts, as we all know, and James is no different. So his question is all about Jalen Hurts. Go ahead, James.
That was a good intro.
All right, so last season, the first half of the season, Eagles was playing great. And the second half of the season, it was really, really ugly. And a lot of people start to compare Jalen Hurts to Carson Wentz. So can you guys tell me, what do you think? Is Jalen Hurts the real deal?
I think Jalen Hurts is absolutely the real deal. I think he's got to make some adjustments going into this year.
It's like getting a new coordinator.
Yeah. Okay.
That's one adjustment he has to make.
Check. That's what Brian Johnson is out and Kellen Moore is in. And I think that's a great thing. And the other adjustment he needs to make is facing the blitz. And there's a lot of talk, and maybe Ruben, who's at camp every day, and Ashlyn, who's at camp every day, can fill us in. But there was question about, and the Kelseys have weighed in on this, who was calling the protections and who was calling the changes on the blitz, and whether or not it was sufficiently done. And obviously the results would say it's not sufficiently done. So ladies and gentlemen, Ron Jaworski just walked in the building. Holy smokes, I interrupted myself. and I'm sorry, Jaws. He wants to have some buffalo dip.
Yeah, you just blew the cover.
Blew the cover
Dang
on
it,
Jaws.
dang it.
Whoop. But the question is regarding the blitz, it's all on him now, right? He's the guy who's calling the blitz out, the protections out, watch the hot. He's doing all that stuff.
And really, Kellen Moore is the guy. They've spent a lot of time this summer working on that and finding answers. They just didn't have any. By the time the second Bucks game came around, they were clueless against the blitz. They made it a priority. Look, Jalen was the MVP conversation through like week 11 last year. So it was really just kind of the last month. The whole thing went bad. They became predictable on offense. That's not going to happen this year. I think they're going to be a lot more innovative, more varied, just unpredictable.
Where's that coming from?
It's coming from Kellen Moore, right from Kellen Moore. And I think it's really hard to be a good quarterback when the other team knows what you're about to do. And that's what happened last year. Nick's own words, he got stale.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
No, it can't happen. Barrett, I know we were especially impressed with Jalen Hurts when we were out there for mandatory minicamp. Truthfully, it looked a little shaky at first for Jalen Hurts, and we factored that in. Okay, he's learning a new playbook, and we always said if he looks like this in training camp, this might be a problem. But from day one of training camp, Jalen Hurts looked like he knew this playbook better than anyone else, and credit to him because you could tell he was in there learning this new offensive system, and it showed from day one of camp.
Well, just the play selection will help him be better at calling covering the blitz, knowing what to do in blitz type situations. But you can kind of hide your quarterback, you can hide your offensive line just by the play selection that Moore's going to give. Last year we played a whole bunch of scat protection. That's 5 offensive linemen against the world. You bring 7 guys, that's 2 free guys that'll be free. And teams figure that out. They just would not go in and play solid protection. Solid protection is when you have the 5 offensive linemen, you have a tight end in or a running back in to help with the blitz pickup. They didn't do that last year. So teams just brought, 2 more blitzers than they could have. So that's why it looked so bad, because they didn't have really the recourse to go out there and call a solid protection or go out there and play action with the offensive line, which keeps extra blockers in. It kind of fools the defense and brings linebackers up so you can get the ball over them. They could stay in 2 high safeties, double team on the outside on Smith and AJ, and didn't have to worry about necessarily blitz covers because they knew that they were going to keep 5 guys to block everybody else. So I just think that right now Moore has a plan to make sure that he has enough blockers for these blitzers with big play players on the outside. It's going to be hard for teams to blitz us because if we know they're blitzing and we can pick it up, that's one-on-one out there with 2 of the best receivers in the league.
Right.
And I doubt seriously any defensive coordinator wants that to happen.
Right, but you know that they couldn't solve the blitz. That's exactly what's going to happen at least week 1 is they're going to bring it before the Eagles can prove that they can solve it. And now, Ashley, I think you have another fan question out there.
Yeah, guys, our next question comes from Lynn. Lynn, I'm going to hand it over to you.
How we doing, folks?
Lynn.
Let's win this one tonight in Brazil.
Let's do it, Lynn.
Brasilia.
Here's the thing I was looking at. Last year, we were doing great, 10-1. And after that, we fell apart. Now, after the Eagles and everything cleaned house, and we got new offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, and everything, and listening to the press conferences of each individual player from Jalen Hurts to Cooper DeJean and a couple other players, I can't think off the top of my head. Now, can this regime, the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, can we turn around and get them to trick it up and then make it worthwhile to where we were back in the day, almost 2 decades ago, to give them a little scare and everything?
I don't think necessarily we're trying to trip them up or try to fool them or anything. I just think you line a guy up in front of you and just whoop his ass. I mean, that's just what you do. You just line up in front of the guy, beat up the guy in front of you, and you're good.
Yeah.
We don't need to do all the semantics, all that. Just run the ball when we want to run it, pass the ball when we want to pass it. And that's the big thing we didn't do last year. We never really established either run, and we couldn't pass it, so it really made our offense really inept. I just think, at this point, we just got to go out there and impose our will. On the defensive side of the ball, guys just got to know what to do. They didn't know what to do because it was 2 coordinators. Nobody knew what to do.
Gosh. Yeah.
They're also, I want to go back if we could, because I want your thoughts on this if you can. It's the coordinators. It's the coordinator situation. And you had said Brian Johnson's gone, and thank goodness. There's one side, the other side, and then there's the truth. And I don't know if we'll ever know the exact truth, but how much of it was Nick Sirianni wanted his plays called. Nick Sirianni wanted all that to go to the offense, and there was disagreement between him and Brian Johnson, and so it got muddled. And he wouldn't back off.
Coming out of the Buffalo game, the Eagles had the 4th best offense in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about week, 12? So nobody was complaining at that point about the offense. I think it was just that they just got stagnant. We just saw the same things week after week. There were no adjustments. There was nothing fresh. They just kind of kept trying to do the same thing. So the whole dynamic was just bad where, Brian was trying to call Nick's plays. He didn't like Nick's plays. Nick is a very stubborn guy. And his offense, he's had success with his offense. Yeah. So it was just a bad situation. And I think just everything's centralized through Kellen now. And I think it'll be a completely different look.
Right. Yeah. It just seems like it's going to work better. And I even go back to, I know we talked about they were so successful, but if you even remember the first 3 weeks of last season, we would sit there post-game locker room. They would win these close games, but you would think, okay, what is this team's identity? What are they known for? And their identity was they can squeak out wins. They can win these close games. And then when the 49ers came to town and they didn't win those close games anymore, you no longer even knew what this team was good at.
Because it wasn't even close. They were blasted in that game.
But I always felt like this team, they never were specifically really good at anything at all last season.
Right.
But they were good at just winning. And when that didn't happen anymore, I was like, what are they good at? I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I felt like it was always there last year. It just didn't rip the Band-Aid off until that 49ers game.
Yeah, and I think more specifically, there were many people, I don't recall if it was you, but there were many people who said, I don't know how they're doing this, but at some point the wheel, I don't care that they're 8-1, 9-1, the wheels are going to fall off this thing at some point, and lo and behold, come the Niners game, and I know they're the Niners, but who expected that score? And by the way,
do you remember my pick?
What was it?
It was like 27-10 Niners.
It was worse.
But I think that was coming off the Buffalo game,
yeah,
right?
It was.
And all those guys had played like 90 snaps in that game, and they were gassed. You could tell that team was just – they were kind of done at that point.
They were done, and then they go to the playoffs and play Tampa Bay, and we all expected, and lo and behold, it happened, that they lose to Tampa Bay. That wasn't close. They gave up a safety, for goodness sakes, in that game.
Well, I kind of understood the 49er game. They were just out physical. They just out physical us. They just beat up on us. And that's what that was. But then what really, hit me in the face was the way Arizona came in and punched us in the mouth, made us like it.
Yeah.
Ran the ball on us, stopped us on defense. I mean, we couldn't run anything on them. We couldn't run pass plays, run plays. We could do anything. So when you had, see that type of adversity.
Were they up 17 in that game, and they just fell
Right,
apart?
right.
But you're facing Gannon, who's an all-time great coach.
I don't know about that, but a good coach, yeah.
I like how he tried to sneak that one in
Right,
there.
right.
All-time great coach.
And you
Okay.
can't help it. You can't help but talk about last year because truthfully, we're all still searching for answers of what exactly happened. And I know the players are sick of talking about it. We're sick of talking about it because we're excited for this new year. But that's why this first week is so important.
I've been thinking about this. I really think they excised last year. Just watching camp, the practices were longer.
Yeah.
They were more physical. They were more intense. There were more of them. They were actually on the field like 7.5 more hours than last year.
Wow.
So many new players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, new coaches. I really think that last year's kind of out of their system.
If that's the case, then why are you concerned about tonight? If they excised last year and they did have a 10-1 team until the final games. So
Well, I just think one of the byproducts of all that change is it might take them a little while before they get to where they're going to be. I think there'll be a really good team by the end of the year. I just think these first few games are going to be challenging.
There's
And
just so much
Green
newness,
Bay's really good. And you're talking about a defense that's completely remade with all these new guys, with some young guys who've never played before, against an offense that by the end of last year was just rolling, scoring 30 points. They scored 30 points a game in their last 8 games. So I think that matchup really concerns me.
Yeah, just a lot of newness going on right now with
That's
this
another
Eagles
way to
team.
say it.
Newness,
Fewer words.
Ash, what do you got?
Where is she?
Ashley.
Ashley?
She's on the other side.
Hello, guys. So we have our first virtual question. Thank you to everyone who has submitted so far. Our first one comes from Billy Blake, and he wants to know who is going to get the first touchdown of the season and who is going to get the first sack.
He virtually wants to know.
First sack and first touchdown?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good question. I'm going to go
That is
with
a good question.
Sweaty for the first sack. I think he's going to have a little comeback year.
Sweaty.
Josh Sweat.
Oh, okay.
Josh Sweat.
Nickname
And
basis.
first
Yes,
touchdown.
Yeah, it's close.
I'll go Devontae. I think Devontae's going to have like an even better season. He's been really, really good. But after watching him at camp, and you were there every day, I mean, he is magical.
Yeah.
Smooth, and he's so smooth, man.
He's
He
so
gets
smooth.
overshadowed
yeah.
so often, and he shouldn't because he's that good.
And I
Yeah.
think the gap between AJ and Devontae statistically is going to close a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think they'll be a more dangerous team if that happens. I don't know how you cover these two guys.
Yeah, I think the Eagles, they very much know the excitement in the city. I think they're going to give Saquon Barkley the carries that everyone wants today. I think Saquon Barkley is going to get the first touchdown of the season.
I
But
second that.
I really like your pick on Sweat. We don't talk enough about him. He very much got overshadowed last year. He needs to get his productivity back up. I like that pick of the first sack. Barrett, what do you think?
He just needs to go out there and do what he did the year before. I mean, we need double-digit sacks out of him. They brought him back for that reason. He's the veteran guy of the bunch. He's the guy that's got the most, with the exception of BG. He's the guy that I'm looking for to be that every down guy, going out to generate pressure on first and second down. You have to earn the right to rush the passer. So you have to tackle the running back on your way to the quarterback. And I think they lost that in translation last year. He must be one of the guys that are up front that will make a difference in the pass rush and the run game. He has to be.
First sack is Brandon Graham.
Ah.
Yeah, guess what? I mean, they need this guy this year.
Yeah.
They're not just doing him a favor and bringing. Let's bring he's a future Eagles Hall of Famer. Let's bring him back. No, they need him.
And I talked to BG on Tuesday.
BG.
and he thinks Brandon Graham. He thinks he's going to play more than last year. He said Vic told him, "Be ready. You're going to play more snaps." He's in great shape. I thought he played well last year for the amount he played.
Yeah.
And depending what happens with Nolan Smith, they're going to need BG. So it's going to be interesting if he goes. I think he averaged about 21 snaps a game last year. He's 36.
Yeah.
Well, what's going on with Nolan Smith? Man, I had so many high expectations for him. I mean, I even thought they should have drafted him, even where they were the year before last, around pick 10, just because what I saw from him earlier in college before he got hurt. I mean, we're talking about a defensive lineman who ran virtually a 4.3 40 at 240 pounds. And I just don't see it. I mean, you can't be that one-trick pony just running around the edge, speed. You got to incorporate some pass rush moves, speed the bull, speed spin inside, tomahawk, swim. All that stuff has to be incorporated to his game. Until he develops that, it'll be a long year from Nolan.
And he talked about how he's tried to really expand his arsenal of moves, but he's got to make it work, and we'll see. I mean, he's a first-round pick. He's got to produce.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
First touchdown, I'm going to go
Brandon Graham.
Britton Covey.
Brent
No,
Covey.
I'm going to go
Woo!
Britton Covey. Are you kidding
There
me?
you go.
Britton Covey.
On a punt return or a catch?
What? No, I'm not going Britton Covey.
Aw,
No, you
I
don't.
liked your out
yeah,
there.
you did. That was way out. Okay, no, I'm going with Jalen Hurts. I think Devontae and AJ and Saquon are taking it down the field, and when it comes down to the nitty gritty, Jalen Jay, I call him.
Jay.
Yeah,
Call him
he's
Jay.
gonna
Nickname
do
Jay?
Hurtsy. Yeah, he's going to hurt
Not a
them.
hockey player.
Hurtsy, same thing. Ash, I hear you got
Hurtsy. That's good. That's good.
Ash, where you at?
All right, guys,
got another
the virtual
question?
questions just keep rolling in.
Rolling in.
Millie's
Where is
question,
that?
they want to know, who are the key matchups to watch tonight? What do we need to look out for in the Packers we really need to pay attention to this evening?
That's for you, Ruth.
Well, I mean, I think the matchup I'm going to be watching the most is that Kenny Clark, who's just a beast, interior lineman. No relation to, remember the Eagles defensive tackle Kenny Clark in the 80s? Not related. But he's one of the best interior linemen in the league, 3-time Pro Bowler. And you got this kind of remade interior of the O-line with Cam moving to center and Mekhi Becton, who's never played guard in his life. Kenny Clark is a beast, and he's going to get after. If they can block him, it's going to go a long way toward really helping the offense.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts and Xavier McKinney. I know we talked about it a lot this week there.
Right,
they were
right.
teammates at Alabama. And we know they're good friends. McKinney knows Hurts very, very well. That could be a big-time matchup as well.
Absolutely. I really want to see Quinyon Mitchell go out there and cover any one of the young guys. I mean, Watson, this is 6'5" receiver, tall, big receiver, third year playing. And, this going to his fourth, and he's expected to be a big-time receiver. I want to see the young fella on him. I mean, that's going to be a matchup. I said 4-3 against a 4-3. Both guys are fast.
How about Mekhi Becton on any kind of double team situation or the blitz? Because we were talking about it at the beginning. 6'7", that's really big. That's really tall for a guard. Does that allow smaller tackles to get underneath there and get in there? Does it?
Well, I mean, he has long arms, so if he plays long, he plays big. It shouldn't be a problem. But it's a lot different from playing from the outside going inside. When you're on the outside, you got a little more leeway to, if you do get beat, you can recover a little bit. When you're in there at guard, it's like fighting in a phone booth. Everything happens right there on the offensive line. That's the closest way to the quarterback. You can't let him get beat inside. You got to put your hands on him to stop him from that point. So, I mean, that's going to be big for them to really see if he can make that transition and be successful at it.
I agree. And let's face it, if you're at right tackle or the tackle position, you're pretty much facing off against the other team's defensive end. You're facing off against edge rushers. You don't have dual responsibility necessarily as much as you would at guard.
Right.
So, that matchup concerns me.
I think the big
Becton.
challenge for Becton is going to be staying low late in the game.
You get tired, you want to stand up a little bit.
Get tired, you want to stand up, and these little guys will get under him and get leverage. And he's never done this before, so I don't know how it's going to turn out. The biggest guard in NFL history when he starts tonight.
Wow, that's wild.
Wow.
Big test for Mekhi Becton, that's for sure. And now it's time for our RAV4 Things to Know, brought to you by Toyota, official automotive partner of the NFL. And now we go to Rube, because I know you got our RAV4 Things to Know.
RAV4 Things to Know. Number one, this is great, and Jaws is going to like this one because this is one of Jaws' favorite stats.
Jazzy!
The Eagles have won 22 straight games when they've been +1 in turnover ratio, turnover margin.
Good kid.
Somebody corrected me and said it's not really a ratio, it's a margin. So
Same
turnover margin. Under Nick, they're 22-1 when they have +1 in turnover margin, and they're 9-11 when they're -1 or worse. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. I know that's one of Jaws' favorite stats. But yeah, I mean, if you're +1 or better, your odds of winning that game. And the only time they've lost was early in Nick's first year. They lost to the Chiefs when they were +1 out at Arrowhead. Number two, man, they protect Jordan Love, and he gets rid of the ball quick. He was only sacked 9 times his last 8 games last year. So, we're talking about pressure and getting pressure on him. It's not easy to do. He'll get rid of the ball accurately and quickly. So they got to get some pressure on him with these guys. We're talking about Sweat and Bryce Huff in his first game with the Eagles, BG, Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, whoever it is. Got to make life a little difficult for Jordan Love. Number 3, this is a fun little fact here. I think I sprang this one on you. So Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is 21 years old. When he plays tonight, he'll be the first Eagles linebacker to play in a regular season game before his 22nd birthday since Jeremiah Trotter.
What?
Wow.
His dad was
That's so
21.
cool.
So
That's a great nugget right there.
yeah, so
Wait, junior or senior?
yeah, yes. And he's going to play. I think he's going to be in the core special teams group, and I think he's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
He's had a heck of a summer, very quietly. We mentioned Quinyon Mitchell, who will start at outside corner tonight, probably play the whole game at outside corner. He's actually going to be the first rookie defensive starter that the Eagles have had since 2012 with Michael Kendricks. And he'll be the first outside corner to start his first game as a rookie since Eric Allen,
Wow.
who should be in the Hall of Fame. Back in 1988, he was a rookie second-round pick out of Arizona State.
Correct.
So that's your RAV4 things to know.
Lovely.
Eagles-Packers tonight coming up soon.
Good RAV4 things to know. Now we are joined, of course, by Jaws, who switched out with Barrett so he could get back to studio for our Eagles programming. And this is our first chance getting to talk to you about this new season, this week 1 big game. Welcome back. What are your thoughts about this year?
First of all, great to be with you guys. And
Yes.
I love walking on Ruben like that because he's always got some great nuggets.
He
He's
does.
always got some wonderful things. And he played right into it. He gave me put the aces right out in front of me. Don't turn the damn ball over. And when I came in this league in 1973, I've been around a long time. When the head coach was Chuck Knox, and I played with Vermeil for 7 or 8 years with Buddy Ryan, Don Shula, Marty Schottenheimer, and every one of those guys on that Saturday morning meeting would say, "You turn the damn ball over, we're going to lose. You turn the damn ball over, you're going to lose." And it is a stat. There's a million stats out there. It's the one that's held true for the history of the National Football League. It's about 80% if you're +1 or better throughout the season. Think of that. If you're +1 or better, you win. That the other opposite of that is if you're -1 or you turn the ball over more than 80%, you're going to lose. That's a true test of time. You can throw that number out there to work. That's why it bugs the hell out of me when teams are careless with the football. And that's why coaches should never accept turnovers. Not that they do, but never accept them.
Other than the score, that's the most important statistic in the game. Really,
You play
right?
to
There
win
are
the game,
Yeah,
right?
but I'm
Right,
saying
Herm?
there are no more important numbers than plus minus.
Right. No.
You got to win that.
And every show. That's why I gets on me because I believe that, and I think history has shown that to be true. And I get mad when guys make dumb mistakes and turning the football over, not carrying it properly, not the quarterback not seeing the ball
Lost
properly.
the Super
not
Bowl
putting
that
it
way.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of ways to lose games, but you got to take care of the football to win games.
And especially, Jaws, I think when you go on the other side of the football as well, the Eagles just frankly didn't force enough. They didn't make enough plays on defense last year. I was going back to looking at Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's stats. Led the league in interceptions 2 years ago with 6. Eagles only had 9 interceptions last year as an entire team. So to have him back gives me at least confidence that the offense is going to get more footballs this year as well.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, you got to commit those turnovers, and there's just so many things that go into causing and creating turnovers. Rubes will know how Buddy Ryan was an absolute fanatic about creating turnovers. I mean, his defensive linemen, linebackers, safeties, and corners, every day started with forcing fumbles, how to tackle properly, how to put your face mask on the football, how to hammer the ball away. I'm not saying the Eagles and other teams don't do that, but teams know how important that is, so they practice causing turnovers. And I see some teams, they whiff on tackles. How can you whiff? You just can't do that. You should be making the tackle first, holding the ball carrier up, or whoever may have the football, and everyone else comes in and strips the football.
Yeah, Michael, that's a guy I'm really excited that they have back on this team is C.J. Gardner-Johnson because I think they needed that energy back on defense. You could so tell at the end of last year it was just lacking. They had no juice out there.
Especially at that position,
Yeah.
especially on the back end where you need somebody to make a play, you need somebody to intimidate, and they were missing that factor absolutely. And it was frustrating for them. They never should have let him go, for goodness sakes.
Money.
They had him before.
Money.
Yeah, I know. Money. But they had that guy. Thank goodness he's back in their midst. And he is a very important component to the back end of the defense, period.
He really is. And now, Ash, I know you're standing by. You got another in-person question I hear.
All right, ready, guys?
Where is she?
Okay,
Ashley,
before we
where
get
are
to the
you?
question, guys,
Oh, Ashley's
my
there.
crew here has something to say. None of us have heard it enough today. 3, 2, 1.
Go Birds!
Love it.
Okay, we just had to get that out of the way quickly. All right, now Ian from Maniac has a question for
That
y'all.
was
I was just wondering how dependent we think that we're going to be on our offseason acquisitions on defense, especially the young guys, Quinyon and Cooper.
Very, very much. I mean, Quinyon, boy, he doesn't practice. I don't know how he'll play, but he doesn't practice like a rookie. I mean, he looks really, really good. I think all these new guys are going to have to step up, and I mean, I think they're all upgrades for the most part. But it's, being a rookie cornerback, there's a reason there's not a lot of them who are starting. It's a lot to ask. He's going to get beat. He's going to have bad games. It's how he bounces back. But I think ultimately, I think he'll be fine. But he's a work in progress.
Rube, I got to tell you, when I was studying Quinyon for the draft, he played at
So
Toledo,
good.
so you didn't not great receivers you line up against every single week. But I'm watching tape, and if I go 3 or 4 games, and man, I don't see this guy making it in the NFL. I don't think he's going to make it as a top draft choice. And you're probably going to say, well, your best question should be why. He played flat-footed. And I said, in the NFL, he's going to double move to death. People are going to run by him. All of a sudden, he started the season. I looked at more tape. He went up against faster guys. He played the same way. He would just turn, wheel, and run with everybody. I mean, his transition was as good as I've seen in a long, long time. So not that only didn't see great players all the time at Toledo, but when he did, he stood up against them all. So I went from worried about the guy to a guy that can make a smooth transition, the hip turn, and all those things that technically you have to be able to do.
Right. And I so respect Coach Vic Fangio's opinion because he is so honest, and it's so great for us in the media because he tells you exactly what he thinks. He told us this week Quinyon Mitchell is not going to come off the field. And then when we asked about Cooper DeJean, he was a little more honest, feels like he's a work in progress, got injured, of course, where he doesn't feel like he's quite ready right now. But for Vic Fangio to say Quinyon Mitchell is not coming off the field and they're going to find a spot regardless, this is when Isaiah Rodgers is going to be your outside corner, that spoke volumes to me that he said that about a rookie.
Yeah, because he knows Vic Fangio. That's why he's in there this year, and he knows about talent and athleticism. And I say the same thing about Cooper DeJean as Quinyon Mitchell. Cooper DeJean, I was lucky enough to spend a day with him. We went around Philadelphia, took him to some spots.
Oh, you're a tour guide now. I like that.
Yeah, I work for the Gray Line. You didn't know that? Are you kidding me?
Moonlighting.
Doubled in the off. Forget about off season. I'm doing all season, kid. So we took him around, and we took him to Tustin Playground, which is where Wilt Chamberlain and Kobe Bryant played basketball. And as you know, Cooper DeJean was a hell of a basketball player. And he went out there with the kids who were on the playground, and he played it up. And he actually got into a three-point shooting contest, and he hadn't touched a ball in a year plus. And he just, boom, back iron. He was amazing. And I'm looking forward. There's talk about, he was asked about whether or not he would have a starting role. Is that in the works?
Cooper DeJean?
Anytime soon.
Well, he missed a month. He missed 3.5 weeks of training camp. He's behind. He's an impressive kid. His first practice was the Saturday after the joint practice in New England. So he's got some work to do, just some catching up because mental reps are great, but they're not physical reps. And, I think at some point, and we'll see, look, I don't know how long Isaiah Rodgers is going to be out with that hand injury, but I think there's a scenario where, like, if he's still out at the bye week, and they like Avonte Maddox, but they also like him to back up slot and safety and everything, that if Cooper DeJean is ready, he becomes the slot. You have Quinyon stays outside, and knowing Howie, he might try to trade Isaiah Rodgers when he's healthy and get a pick back for him because with Keely Ringo coming up, and Isaiah just on a 1-year contract, he doesn't really have a long-term future here. So I really like Isaiah. It's a big loss. I think he's a really good player, but boy, Quinyon is special.
Yeah, he sure is.
You mentioned Vic Fangio, and I got to tell you, I've had a man crush on Vic Fangio for 40 years.
Do tell.
I'm telling you, I love the way he coaches defense. And as Rube knows, he was here in the mid 80s coaching the USFL Philadelphia Stars. We shared Veterans Stadium as our practice facility, so I get to know Vic and his entire staff very, very well. And Dom Capers and that whole group, and that group had great success in the NFL. But he's a no-nonsense, no BS, play football, learn football, play football the right way. He's not worried about ruffling your feathers and saying, be politically correct in what he tells you. I love a coach like that.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Jim Johnson in a lot of ways.
Good way to put it. Yeah, pretty good guy to name, right? He's Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But that's why I love the guy. There's too much coddling going on right now, not only in football but in the world, and everything's very politically correct. If you made a mistake, tell me I made a mistake. Not, don't hug me.
Right.
No, and that's what Vic is like. He's going to chew guys' butts out. I've known him wherever he's been, and around the National Football League, he's been to a lot of places, and had great success defensively. Did not have great success in Denver as a head coach, but he had great success defensively. I think his defense, it's going to struggle early. It'll struggle early because it's a new system, just like offense. It takes time. There's a lot of nuances to learn about his scheme, but it's a tried, test, and proven scheme that if you stay with this system, eventually will become successful.
Right. He is a brutally honest coach, and you could argue the defense very much needed that, especially at the end of last season. Now let's go back out to Ashley with another fan question.
All right, guys. Next up is Larry from Mantua.
Larry.
With the addition of what should be with a new offensive coordinator, a lot more pre-snap motion, what effect will that have on the offense, and how will that help Jalen?
That is really intense, Larry.
Yeah,
Son of a gun, pre-snap motion.
Yeah, there's been a lot of conversation about that. I think that's just one of a lot of things that Kellen's going to bring to the table that was missing last year. I mean, you're going to see different formations. You're going to see guys just lining up in different places. They just became predictable last year. And Kellen's whole thing is being unpredictable, just, showing stuff that they haven't shown, a lot of unscouted looks. And I think pre-snap motion will be part of that. There'll be a lot of new stuff.
Yeah, let me give you my feeling on pre-snap motion. It's not necessarily my feeling. It's Peyton Manning's feeling. I spent a lot of time with Peyton when I was calling Monday Night Football games. And Peyton hated cross motion. In other words, a motion that starts on one side of the center and goes all the way across the field to the other side. Because when you cross the center, that changes the strength and the weakness of the defense. And Peyton hated that. He hated all of a sudden you got one look, and all of a sudden you ran a motion across, and the defense makes all the calls. And he liked knowledge, knowing exactly what the defense is going to be. So he would never run across. They would run short motion, zin motion, zoom motion out, but never all the way across the formation because it confused Peyton Manning. So, yes, I think what you're going to see right now is a change-up in using motion. It's what the new offense coordinator wants to do. We give you more of that. But I'm going to say tonight we've seen nothing in training camp, nothing in preseason. Nothing. It's going to be fun tonight watching and see what the plan actually is and what Kellen Moore wants to do.
Right.
To what degree are plays limited in the preseason? How little?
100%.
100%.
They were so vanilla, and I mean, it was comical. They didn't show anything, and I think that's the way with most teams now.
I would say every team has been that way, unless you want to focus on some individual players. You put them in a situation where you're high draft choice, where you want to get a look at them. They may scheme some plays, but in the preseason, you see nothing. It is about as vanilla as you can get.
And Kellen said, they would work on new stuff in walkthroughs that are close to the media, close to everybody. There's no fans there. That's when they would work on. That's when they would install all the new stuff. They didn't do anything at training camp. I mean, they were as vanilla as you could be.
Yeah. And Coach Sirianni especially seemed incredibly adamant of not wanting to give the Green Bay Packers even a smidge of an advantage, to the point where he wasn't announcing Mekhi Becton as the guard. We still don't know if he's the starting guard. We're like, no, Coach, we all know he's the starting guard. Nope, wouldn't go there.
Tyler Steen hasn't practiced since day 3 of training camp. But Nick says he might be starting.
I was asked this morning on the radio, and I'll ask it of you if it's okay. I was
You're a big deal.
Well, no, every once in a while they'll call me up, and they just like
big media
like
guy.
Anyway,
guy,
I was asked to what end? What are they trying to accomplish, the NFL, with the games in Brazil and the other games? Is it to expand the league and play in those cities potentially, or is it just to gain awareness and sell merch?
How about the money, Michael?
Well,
why don't you cut to the chase?
The money.
Yeah, all that other stuff sounds really good.
Well, the merch is the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The jerseys, the
21 million people in Sao Paulo. How many
South Philly
jerseys they're going to sell? I mean, and then long term, when you introduce the sport, when you expand the footprint, that's more fans who are going to become Eagles fans or Packers fans. More money.
Let me zero this in on this game specific, not the future. And I think the NFL and Rodgers have done a great job of growing the game. This game specifically was supposed to be the Cleveland Browns and Green Bay Packers. Originally, that's what it was supposed to be. Netflix is going to pay $15 million for that game. That fell apart. Unfortunately for the NFL, Netflix found additional money to make the offer $35 million, but they wanted the Eagles in that game. They wanted the Browns out. They realized the Eagles draw. So you know what? Netflix paid $35 million as opposed to $15 million for one game
to the NFL.
to the NFL.
Wow.
And every team
That's
over
it.
Money talks.
in a 5-year
Yeah.
span, every team's going to have to do an international game. That's just the reality. But look, London's a lot easier than going to South America.
Yeah.
Yes,
They're,
it
tou-
is.
they're tough games to play. In my career, I played in Mexico City and I played in London, and nothing is normal about them at all. Nothing is normal.
You weren't around when the Mexico City game was
Yes, I
canceled.
was. The
The preseason game was canceled 3 days
Yeah.
before because there was
field.
rioting in Mexico City. Then you guys went in '78, I think.
78
Yeah.
we went, played
They
it.
didn't like the quarterback and they rioted. I think it's bad.
They
here.
wanted Matt Kavanaugh to play.
Yeah, exactly. But there were a lot of Pittsburgh fans.
We
that
played
went
it.
down
We played in a bull ring. It was a bull ring. We played
Yeah.
the game. The
Toro.
goalposts are like this. And the locker room ceilings, I think, were 6'2". You know, Stan Walters was banging his head on the ceiling.
Oh my gosh.
there. Duck Senior.
But needless to say, they still try to treat it like a normal week. We all
And
know
that
this
was
is a
a
normal
that was a
week.
preseason game.
Preseason
But yeah,
game,
but that's a great point, Ashland, because I heard A.J. Brown and others say, don't think we're going to museums and going on tour here. This truly is, we're going down, we're going to play a football game, and we're coming back. And I think that needs to be underscored. And it sounds like if you read between the lines, or even if you listen to them, they don't want to play this game there. They would much rather be in Cleveland, of course here, but that's not the case.
That's the other thing. This is the Green Bay Packers, a team with great history, great championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is an Eagles home game. We should be getting prepared for the Green Bay Packers coming to Lincoln Financial Field. It would have been a great football game to host. I don't like the game going to Brazil. For that
And I
reason
agree.
alone.
I do think the Eagles have done a great job of making it as normal as possible. They sent a whole team down in April to kind of scout everything out. They've got their nutritionist designing the meals with the hotel, so they're have their normal diet instead of eating whatever Brazilian food is. They're just the transportation. They're trying to make it. They had the meeting room set up like they'd be set up in a normal road game. So they're doing everything they can.
And it's not going to make any difference. It's a 10-hour flight.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be different.
Yeah, there's no question.
And players are creatures of habit. They used to do the same thing over and over again. They're getting that plane out. They're going to start bitching about an hour into the flight. The seats aren't big enough. Too damn cramped.
They had a 777. It's a lot of room on that plane.
And it's going to be full.
Yeah.
It's going to be full.
No, they sent like 120 was their party, and it seats like 250.
I watched them load that thing through front and back.
It's huge. It's a huge plane. You're right. But I think whoever spends less time complaining about it and more time just preparing for the game is going to have an advantage. Because complaining ain't going to help.
Nope.
Do you know the truth to the whole gang thing and don't wear green and the Packers are wearing green, but the Eagles are wearing black?
The don't wear green thing is a myth.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as
can't wear green in Dallas.
No. Now that's true.
Unless you're an Eagle fan.
Yeah.
They wear them anywhere they want.
It's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And the players, we talked to the Eagles assistant GM. He said the players haven't been told don't leave the hotel, but they have been told, just be smart, use common sense, like anywhere. I mean, understand your surroundings. They're in a good part of town, but I don't think the players are going to be walking around and going to clubs in Sao Paulo. I think it's going to be a business trip and be smart about it.
Rube.
Yeah, I don't.
I was around it 17 years.
I know.
That sounds really good, Rube.
Let's go with that. Let's just go with that plan. Ash, I got another fan question for us.
Ashley.
Our next virtual question comes from, no doubt, this legal name. First name Go, last name Birds. And they kept it really simple, guys. Who is going to win this game and why?
Down the line. I'll do first.
To me, it's pretty simple. 30-27 Eagles in a great football game. I think Saquon Barkley becomes a feature of this game, the feature of this offense. I think they win because of him.
I like it.
Well, I have a good friend of mine who's going 27-24 Packers. I don't know who that is, but I'm flipping it 27-24 Eagles, and I think it'll be a great way to start the season. And remember, their next game is not till the following Monday night against Atlanta. That's a long way to wait with a loss after your first game of the season.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Ron Jaworski.
Well, the minute you start talking about this game, I thought back to last year, our last show. How ticked off we were.
Yeah.
The humiliating effort the Eagles put on the field.
Brutal.
We lost 6 of our last 7. Here we are saying we're going to kick the Packers' butt. What a great turnaround.
Love
I
it. New year.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty
What?
of sports.
Not so fast. Brew, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Now
just
for the
think
downside.
I just think with all the changes on defense and the new coaching staff, new scheme, a lot to learn, a lot of young players. I just don't think they're going to be ready defensively for what Jordan Love and that Packers offense can do. And I still think they're going to have a good year, playoff. I think by the end of the year, they're going to be one of the best teams in the league. But I'm going Packers 29-27 tonight.
Yes, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news as well. I agree with Rube. I think the Packers win this one in a close one, 27-24. I worry about this defense. I worry that they're just not quite ready for this caliber. If this game was in week 6, I would have said Eagles by 1,000,000, but I just worried that this is a really tough draw right now, week 1 in Brazil. I understand both teams have to play there, but Green Bay was so ascending last year. Eagles opposite direction. I get it's a new year. I worried that this defense right now is a little too young for what Green Bay is going to throw at them. What do you think?
I am cautiously optimistic, as is Michael. We picked our birds to do it. But, Green Bay is a very good football team. You look back to last season, they put 48 on the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas.
That was fun.
They had the lead against the 49ers on the road in the playoff game.
Extremely well coached.
1 minute to go. They had a chance to move forward. They're a well-coached team, and they're very talented. And Jordan Love is on a roll right now. And Josh Jacobs, don't forget that name right now. This guy's a hell of a running back.
The running, yeah. It's going to be tough to stop him.
It is. To me, when I really think about this game, it's just, to me, who is rolling first? Who's going to get off to a better start? Because I fear with this Eagles offense, if Jordan Love, they go score the first 2 drives, Eagles can't get it together. To me, it seems like a bowling ball effect. And I get it's a new year. I get we don't talk about the end of last season. But you know what everyone in this building's going to do. If they're down in the first quarter, if they're down in the first half, it's going to be peak freak out. Oh, my gosh, here it's happening again. That's why I think the start of this game is so crucial.
I was going to say how good the food looks while coming
You're
by
distracted. I knew you weren't listening to me.
The
Here.
food
Food
here
looks amazing.
at the NBC Sports Bar.
Yes.
Is that,
it
yeah.
is. Brand
Food
new.
is unbelievable.
Beautiful.
It
Absolutely
is.
beautiful.
It's
Yeah,
something
nice
that
place.
Ron Jaworski could have thrown together. I'm telling you
I
what.
always feel good.
I know you do. I know. Hang on a second, darling.
But
Got it.
as to the
Got it.
question,
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't think I don't think there's going to be there's so many new guys, so many new players who weren't here for that collapse, new coaches. I really don't think if they get behind 14-0 in the second quarter, I don't think anybody's going to be saying, "Oh, here we go again. It's like last year again." I just don't think
We
that's
will.
gonna happen.
Yeah, we will.
We might.
Are you kidding me? New
I don't
team,
think they
new
will.
coaches, new talent on the team. Saquon Barkley coming in. Did the Eagles score? I just heard a cheer. Oh, the game hasn't started yet. But
Do you know something we don't know yet?
no, not yet. If I could, man, we'd be on my yacht. Forget it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
How'd you get a yacht?
I didn't.
It's
well,
off-season acquisition.
With the winnings, I would have.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like Back to the Future.
Barrett's the one with all the boats.
Yeah, he is. Speaking of Barrett, I believe we have Barrett standing by for a surprise. I'm told. I don't know what this is.
No, double B.
All right, guys, this is it. This is it. We got to end things right. I got all my friends here, and we're going to do something in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love it. Our first Eagles cheer of the year.
Many more to come.
Many more to come.
Were they doing the EAGLES when you played?
No.
They weren't, right? That was that
It
started.
came a little later.
It came a little.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles, chant. Came a little later.
I wonder if they. You know what? This is a research project for you. Did it come before the JETS Jets?
Came as soon as Jaws left.
Aw.
That's
I
not
don't know.
true.
I don't know.
Probably right.
I don't know how far back that goes. I don't remember.
Wow.
Remember last year.
I thought it went all the way back to Bednarik, but I guess not. For goodness, they spelled it there. They spelled it EEGLES back then.
Back
You
in
know,
the
then
day.
they changed it. Let's
Mark
go.
Van Egan.
Yeah.
If Bednarik was around, he would kick your butt.
If who was
He
around?
deserves it.
Bednarik.
Oh, Bednarik?
You'd kick
Yeah,
your
he
butt
could
for me,
try.
yeah.
Him
Yeah.
and what arm?
I remember him.
You
He
kidding
used to
me?
come to Lehigh training camp. Yeah, he was not a happy guy.
Next thing you'll be telling me he knocked out Frank Gifford for a year. Please.
That would be true.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping for many more Eagles chance to come. Thanks so much for tuning in.
We're
to this.
done?
We're done,
That's it?
Michael.
Oh, my goodness.
You got to go on television.
Drinks on Ashland.
No, please.
Yeah.
Don't call Ashley. Call Michael. He's the one with the yacht. Remember? Off-season
Well,
acquisition.
Once I get the bets in.
Beer, a yacht, Rube, what do you got to offer?
I got my 4 round
Oh,
4
you
things
put
to know.
That was a good round
He's
4
an
things to
old-
know.
He didn't play football, man. He did a tough sport, cross country. I mean, that's a tough
That is a
sport.
tough
I
sport.
mean, it's not like football. You could twist a leg, you can get a branch in the eye. That's different. I mean, I'm telling you what.
Something really bad could happen there. Very much a special thanks to
Branch
Xfinity
in
Live
the eye.
and
Branch
our
in the
brand new NBC Sports area here. Thank you so much to our proud sponsor of Toyota with NBC, with Birds Huddle, and especially with the NFL official automotive partner of the NFL. Thanks so much for tuning in to this Birds Take Brazil live Q&A. Kickoff is coming up soon. Stay with us on NBC Sports Philadelphia.